Kia ora koutou, hello and welcome to this video about the astrology affecting us in Aotearoa, New Zealand and Australia for the weekend and the week beginning Saturday the 16th of November until Sunday the 24th of November. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar and I make astrology calendars using the lunar months and with daily transits and sign descriptions and meditation prompts for New Zealand and for Australia. So I'll display some of the pictures from those and you can order them at sunandmooncalendar.nz or sunandmooncalendar.com for Australia. So let's get into what's going on. We have some big stuff this coming time period. So we have got the sun moving into the sign of Sagittarius. That's every month. We've got the full moon in the sign of Taurus. We've got Saturn stationing to go direct, and the biggest one of all, one of the biggest changes of this year, perhaps the biggest change of this year, and that is Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius, where it's going to be for the next 20 years. Let's go. First of all, I'll talk about the moon phase that we're in. At the start of this time period, we've got the full moon in Taurus with the sun opposite in the sign of Scorpio. So that is full light, full noise, all the energy of the full moon. After that, the moon is going to wane. It's going to grow smaller each day until by the end of the week it will be the last quarter moon. So with that we've got big energy, and then the energy will be coming down until we reach that quarter moon, and then after that it will wane down to the dark moon time. That is the new moon. And let's look at the main events happening this week. Okay, on the Saturday just before the full moon, the exact moment of the full moon, we've got Saturn, the ruler of boundaries, endings, restrictions, rules, duties and responsibilities, turning direct. So Saturn has been retrograde for a while. So Saturn's been going, it went forwards through Pisces, then it went back through Pisces, and now it's going forward from Saturday in the sign of Pisces again, where it is for 2.5 to 3 years. And once it goes retrograde, it's like the last few months we've had a bit of reworking, thinking and review at a deep and subtle level of our boundaries and our responsibilities and our understanding of the duties that we need to do and the ways we need to live within the natural restrictions offered by our lives and what we need to show up to. Once Saturn turns direct, things can become clearer. So we might have had the last few months, we might have had a very easy time where we haven't really been facing up to some of our things that we need to do. Or we might have had a time where there's been so many boundaries and so many duties and responsibilities. It's been a bit crazy with that. But things should be clearer after Saturn moves direct. So I hope that works well for everybody. And then, of course, we've got the full moon that I just mentioned before. So let's look at some of the most important aspects with this full moon. Okay, when there's a full moon, the sun and the moon are always opposite each other in the sky. So you can see there the sun is, there's my mouse. There's the sun in the sign of Scorpio, 24 degrees of Scorpio, and the moon in the sign of Taurus, 24 degrees of Taurus. And right next to that full moon is Uranus. That's that symbol there. And Uranus is a planet of disruption, of revolution, changing things up, innovation, new ideas. It's an awakening planet. And there could be something that comes along with this full moon that's disruptive but awakening, and we can up level because of it. We can step into a better place, like a freer place, because Uranus loves freedom, but a place where It could be something a little bit genius where we're using our brains. It can be innovative. But anyway, it can just push us into something new that is exciting but disruptive. And it might not feel good at the time. It might feel good later, but maybe not at the time. Okay. The other thing is, as I mentioned before, Saturn just stationing to go direct in the sign of Pisces just a few hours before the full moon. And then the big one, and I've got it circled there, Pluto. Can you see how that is at 29 degrees and 55 minutes of Capricorn? Just 5 minutes, not minutes in time, but astrological minutes before it moves into the sign of Aquarius. Big news. That is a really big one. Okay, so we're going to talk about that now. Okay, Pluto entering Aquarius, coming into 0 degrees of Aquarius on Wednesday the 20th of November. What's that all about? So Pluto is a planet that's very small, but it's very slow. And it has a 244-year orbit, and it's an oval orbit. So it's not just purely round, it goes elliptical. So some signs it spends more time in, but it only moves so slowly, like 1, 2, or 3 degrees every year. And it can spend around 20 years in each sign. In the sign of Capricorn, it's been like 14 to 16 years. And in the sign of Aquarius, it will be 20 years. Okay. So Pluto has such a long time in each sign, and it can have such intensity that people born under Pluto in any one sign can be known as a certain generation, like the Pluto and Leo generation is my parents, I think. Maybe they're Pluto and Cancer. I'm a Pluto and Virgo generation, and there's a Pluto and Libra generation, and so on, because there are so many people, thousands, millions of people born over those years that Pluto's in that sign. And if you're interested in knowing more about the Pluto generations, I did an analysis for New Zealand, and that can apply to Australia as well. There's a lot of similarities between our countries, but I'll link that in the description box. Okay, so Pluto went into Aquarius first of all in 2023 from March to June, and then again in 2024 until I think it was September. So we have been getting used to Pluto in Aquarius, but from Wednesday it's going to be in Aquarius for good for the next 20 years. Pluto is intense and magnetic. It can have themes of power and great wealth or great debt. Also sexuality, partly because of that intensity and passion and its underlying passion. So it can go into the world of intimacy because there's a lot of secrecy about Pluto. It's also about transformation, and that's by slow crumbling destruction and then regeneration, like the phoenix rising from the ashes. And when we're going about in our normal life, Pluto can be the part of us that has deep feelings, underlying layers of psychology, hidden motivations. It's our reptilian brain. It's very basic, power moves. You know how even toddlers know how to use power in a playground or playing with each other or with their parents. They know how to exercise power by demanding things, by using their eyes to accept you by looking at you sweetly, or by cutting their eyes away. I know a few very, very young kids who already know that trick. But Pluto is hidden depths and secrets. And it's also about purging. And while it's been in the sign of Capricorn, it's been purging some stuff. Okay, in our personal lives, wherever we have Pluto in our chart, we are dealing with power issues in that area, and there can be crises in that area, and through working through that slowly and painfully, we can have transformation. But it's not easy. You can feel like you're being wrung out at times when you're having some hard Pluto stuff going on, like a Pluto transit. So anybody who's been having Pluto going over those late degrees of Capricorn, if you've got a planet or an important point in your chart there, late degrees of Capricorn or early degrees of Aquarius, it's not quite over, but it will be over. But yeah, you will have been finding some pretty hard and transformative and painful stuff in your life over the last few years. Okay. All right, and in the world, Pluto brings power and intensity and attention to the topics of the sign. And it can add power to those topics or those themes, but also it can reveal the secrets and the underlying darkness, what is rotten underneath and what needs to be cleaned out and purged. But it develops slowly over the years. And there's been a few things happen in our countries where we've understood more about hierarchical institutions and systems of organization and structures of governance and some like really sort of traditional and conservative forms of organization and actual organizations, whether those are governmental or NGOs. And we've been learning about some of the dark past and the hidden secrets that are not pleasant about some of those organizations. Okay, so there we've got a slide with Pluto in Capricorn. So 2008 to 2024 has contributed to strong governments, strong top-down organization, a lot of telling the people what to do, and traditional hierarchical structures, but a lot of also crumbling in those institutions and recognizing what is hollow, what is actually not true, what is not honorable. And Pluto in Aquarius over the next 20 years. So we're going to see more devolution of power. So power spread out across people. So not so much the top-down power. More strength to community organizations, grassroots organizations, more technological innovation, more unconventional thinking, innovative ideas, crazy new technology. Pluto intensifies, exposes, and then slowly destroys through crumbling, bringing stuff down and revealing the hidden truths. And then it can transform to what is better if you can survive. No, you can survive. Yeah, so transformation and big new beginnings. That's what Pluto will work towards. So those are the major events of the week. I'm now going to talk about where the planets from Mercury up to Saturn and the Sun are placed at the moment and what's happening there, and then go through the aspects of the week. The Sun is in Scorpio at the start of the week, but it will be moving into the sign of Sagittarius very soon. So with Sagittarius and the Sun in Sagittarius, there'll be more energy, light and vitality and creative expression in themes to do with Sagittarius. So that is travel, exploring, seeking distant horizons, philosophizing, discussing different ways to see the world and seeking meaning in life. And this can be through, very often with Sagittarius, that's about seeing how other cultures do it and learning from other cultures, or reading high-level texts, even starting study that is high study, like more like university courses, not so much like your local crafts and things like that, more like stuff that makes you really think on a deeper, wider level. Okay, and Sagittarius is also confident and optimistic and often is known as a lucky sign. So we've got some good energy with that, with the Sun in Sagittarius, and that's leading us up to summer solstice for the Southern Hemisphere, for us down here. And at summer solstice, the Sun moves into Capricorn. But we've got that final month of the growing time of the year, of the solar year, with the Sun in Sagittarius. Okay, and we've also got Mercury in Sagittarius, and Mercury, as I've said before, will be in Sagittarius for a very long time, much longer than usual. So from November until January, and that's because Mercury will be going retrograde in Sagittarius. So we're now in the shadow, but from the 26th of November, so the week after this week, Mercury will be going retrograde. So we might find that some of the things that come up now over this coming week and the week just gone, there'll be things that we're going over again and doing more of, having to repeat stuff. That's okay. It's all fine. But overall, Mercury in Sagittarius, Mercury's about planning, communication, making arrangements, analyzing, researching, and organizing the details, life admin. There's lots of life admin, but then there's also chat, banter, just like fun, comedy, and chatting with people, networking like a busy bee going around the neighborhood. And with Mercury in Sagittarius, we have that longer time where we can be planning adventures, learning about other cultures, talking about other cultures and the ways different people do different things, and perhaps some talk, analysis, and discussion about the meaning of life. Okay, and we've got Venus in Capricorn, recently moved into Capricorn, and Venus in Capricorn likes to take things slowly and be committed to things. If Venus wants to get more beautiful, because Venus loves beauty, it will be doing that in a slow and steady way, like doing a regular morning exercise routine that helps your body feel beautiful. In relationship, there might be more of a feeling of readiness to be committed and to do things slowly and steadily in relationship. And perhaps even because Capricorn likes to work and is patient, there might be some real enjoyment, especially in partnership, of working hard, like actually finding the pleasure in that and even the comfort in that while Venus is in Capricorn. Okay. And we've got Mars in Leo, and Mars is in Leo for 2 months, but it's only going to be reaching to the early degrees of Leo before it goes retrograde. Then it will move back through and then go back into Cancer, because it's retrograding between Leo and Cancer. So with Mars in Leo, Mars likes to lead with determination. Leo is a sign of leadership. And Leo likes to be dramatic and out there, and Mars can drive that passionate ways of expressing and dressing with flair, walking through a room like the sun's shining from you, because Leo, it's the sunshine. It's ruled by the sun, and Mars in Leo likes to help that be even more energetic. And there's a lot of independence lent to Leo, and Leo's already quite an independent sign, but Leo will tend to have followers. People will come to Leo because of the charisma, and Mars will help that leadership side and the independent side and taking initiatives that leads people to do quite often some fun things and creative things. Okay, and of course anything that's coming up now with Mars during this period up to early December is likely to be revisited when Mars is in retrograde from December to February. Okay. And we've got Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter stays in a sign for a year, and Jupiter went into Gemini in June and is currently retrograde in Gemini, and it will be in Gemini until 2025. And with Jupiter in Gemini, Jupiter expands and brings opportunities. It's known as the lucky planet, the great benefic, as in bringing benefits. Under Gemini, we've got an expansion of talk, because Gemini is about talk and networking, trade and exchange, which is why I chose a picture of a market for Gemini. It's really messy, but Gemini can be a bit messy because it likes to do this and that, and it flits around, and it doesn't really settle on things for very long. So there is a little bit of a messiness with Gemini. It's bits and pieces, and Jupiter is expanding the bittiness and pieciness of life while it's in Gemini, and bringing opportunities to whatever area of your chart Gemini falls in. And Saturn's in Pisces at the moment. So Saturn from March 2023 until May of 2025. And then again from September to February 26. Saturn is in Pisces right now. Oh my goodness, I've had Saturn go over my ascendant coming up for the last time in January. So I've got, because I'm a Pisces rising, I've got really serious. I'm so much more serious and grown up these days, and probably not heaps of fun, but that's the way it goes with Saturn, a Saturn transit. Not much Netflix, that's for sure. Okay, but in general, for the world and for us in our personal lives, we'll be noticing, and I'm sure you're noticing in the news, things to do with water, challenges to do with water and the use of water, toxicity or the health of water. And then also to do with mental health. And some of this can be like where there's caring for others involved. There can be, how do we put in healthy boundaries around that Saturn and its boundaries? Pisces is about compassion and charity. Where does it end? Where does the charity end? Where does the compassion end? There can be compassion fatigue. And mental health issues like addictions of any kind of addiction. And there'll be some rules and restrictions going into those areas, perhaps restrictions on counselling services and things like that going on. Okay. All right. And now I'm just going to go through the transits and aspects of this week one by one. Okay. So as I mentioned before, on Saturday morning, Australia and New Zealand, Saturn stations to move direct, so we can have more clarity about our commitments, our responsibilities, and the review period that we've had since June is over. We're moving forwards with more clarity. Okay, the full moon in Taurus, and so always the full moon is a culmination point, the completion point, seeing the full expression of something, and that perhaps that's something that you started 2 weeks ago, or that started 2 weeks ago, or it might be something that started 6 months ago with the Taurus new moon. Okay. Also, things can be revealed by the light of the moon, so things that you weren't aware of could be, come to light. Okay. And then on Sunday, the 17th of November, the day after the full moon, we've got the sun opposite Uranus. And that's, of course, the sun was opposite the moon at the full moon. And then because Uranus is 1 degree away from that full moon, the sun will almost straight away come to be opposite Uranus. And with Uranus, it's about the need for freedom and awakening and fresh new ideas, never about getting stale. No, the opposite of that. And with the sun opposite Uranus, we might feel a bit driven to just break out of something, like we feel like we need liberated. We just want something new and fresh and unusual, perhaps, because Uranus likes things to be a bit unusual. So just take care not to go overboard with any of your more unusual or out there expressions. Okay. And Mercury opposite Jupiter. So the first part of the week, there's a lot of oppositions actually. And Mercury opposite Jupiter, that will happen 3 times altogether because of the retrograde of Mercury. And in general, when something's opposite the benefics like Jupiter and Venus, opposition tends to be tense, like things are pulling apart, but Jupiter's tends to be generous. So there can be a lot of big talk and grand plans and the desire to expand and talk about doing big things. And just take care, it might be just a little bit overboard, like more than you can actually really do in reality. But sometimes it's good to talk and explore the big blue sky picture, and anything can happen in life. And Mercury opposite Jupiter will encourage us with that kind of talk. On Tuesday the 19th, the Sun is trine Neptune, and that is lovely actually. So that encourages the expression of our imaginative side, our compassionate side, our charitable side, and there can be some glamour with that, and some vitality with the kind of mystical nature that we all have within us with Neptune, because we've all got Neptune somewhere in our charts, though some people are more like that than others, stronger Neptune. And then, the big one, Pluto enters Aquarius on Wednesday the 20th. So over the next 20 years, we are going to have Pluto going through Aquarius, intensifying, magnetizing the themes of Aquarius, and slowly destroying them and reforming. And wherever Aquarius falls in your chart, that's where like power stuff could come up, power dynamics, power issues. And you have to explore that and find out, where are you being autonomous and real for yourself, truthful to your own power and need for power and expressions of power, and where are you giving your power away? So all that, but in the Aquarian area of life. Okay. And then on Friday, 22nd of November, the sun enters Sagittarius. So I talked about that before, the energy, vitality in the areas, the themes of Sagittarius. So travel and exploring new horizons, distant countries, wanting to bound off and do something energetic and enthusiastic and distant, going off here and there, reading a big philosophical text, trying to find the meaning of life by batting around ideas about God and religion and spiritual systems. Yeah. Okay. And then on Friday also we've got the Sun sextile Pluto, and that is a sweet one that's helpful to express ourselves with power and even magnetism, and to influence in a deep way, in an underlying way, and to have a bit of charisma about us. Nice. And then on, and going back to that one, that might be the first aspect that Pluto makes in the sign of Aquarius, apart from with the moon. But yeah, Pluto sextile Sun, that's a nice first one for Pluto in Aquarius. And then Venus sextile Saturn. So that's where we can feel like we can be more balanced and mature in our relationships, with our money, with our sense of beauty, and the ways that we make things beautiful and comfortable and luxurious in life. So there's a sweetness in a sensible and mature and maybe a traditional way. So maybe that's like designing your house with a retro look, because Saturn is kind of old stuff and Venus is design and beauty and aesthetics. That's just one example. And then on Saturday we've got that last quarter moon, so we start that time period with the full moon, and then it will come down to look like a half moon, and that's time to get things finished, reap the harvest of what came to fruition at full moon, what came to its fullest expression, and then we do the collecting and the gathering and the completing, and the light will be waning. There we go. So I would like to invite you, we'll just fix it up a little bit. I would like to invite you to think back over the last 14 years, 16 years since Pluto was in Capricorn, and think about what kind of power issues you've dealt with in your life. Where have you stepped into greater power, perhaps through some really challenging, transformational, wrung inside out process that made you feel really depleted and strung out, but in the end you recovered and built yourself up again and moved forward with greater understanding of how to keep your power strong and how to express your power in the world and express yourself so that you're not giving your power away. So if anybody's had any of those kind of experiences that you've noticed in that last 14 to 16 years, do share in the comments. I've got Pluto in Virgo, and it's my relationship house, and for me, many of my close partnerships, whether they're business partnerships or close friendships or partners, like intimate partners, they've been really transformational, and I've really had to learn how to how to not give my power away and act like a victim, basically. Yeah. So where have you maybe acted like a victim in the past, but you're learning to step into your own power, and maybe what area of life has that been for you in the last 14 to 16 years? Okay. Order your sun and moon calendar. If you're Australia, it's still free postage, and we're up to the final rounds of proofreading now with the Australian edition. And for New Zealand, thank you so much everybody who has ordered so far, and if you haven't ordered yet, please do. So that's all from me. Hei kona rā, kia pai te wiki. Have a good week everybody, and enjoy a new generation and a new era of Pluto in Aquarius. Bye.